There are 3 islands in France that have not yet been completely discovered and that are my top tips for a great holiday in France. So if you want to know where they are, keep watching. So everyone knows about Paris and the Riviera and maybe the Alps, but there are many other places to discover in France. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 islands that have really been the highlights of my childhood, where I spent a lot of holidays, and a few tips on what you should do there and where you can stay. So the first island is Noirmoutier. So Noirmoutier is on the west coast of France. It is not far from Nantes. You can actually fly to Nantes, and then from there it's about 1.5 hour drive. The beauty of Noirmoutier is the arrival. So you have 2 ways to get to the island. The first one is through a big bridge that was built actually when I was a child. And then the other way, the traditional way, is le Gois. Le Gois is a path in the ocean which gets covered by the water at high tide. And so you really have to time your arrival very precisely. And I remember when I was a child and we were getting to Fromentine, which is the city where you leave from to go on the Gois, and being too early or too late for the tide and waiting in the car for the right time to cross. Because at that time the bridge didn't exist. There are people who actually have been caught on the Gois, and this is why you will see all along that path these refuges, these shelters, if you want, where you can climb up and wait for the tide to recede and then go back home. Noirmoutier has a lovely set of little villages. My recommendation is to go to the top of the island and to stay in a village called Le Vieil. It's all low houses, white walls, blue shutters, very quiet and narrow passage and alleyways, all leading up to the beach. The beach is very sandy, it's beautiful. There are different beaches. There's one that is a bit for families, some that are a bit more secluded, but they're all really, really nice. Noirmoutier is a very family-oriented island. You will find lots of people with their young children. It's very low-key, very relaxed, really not posh, and that's what I really like about it. It still has kept a lot of the charm that it had when I was a child, and there are not a lot of big buildings of big resorts. A lot of people stay at the camping areas that are at the entrance of the island, but as I said, really go to the top, go to Noirmoutier-en-l'Île, Le Vieil, and then if you want something a bit more posh, Le Bois de la Chaise, which is a lovely wooden area with some houses, and that leads to a beach called Plage des Dames, which still has its old-fashioned beach huts from the 20s, 30s. And there's actually a famous French movie that was shot there. The second island, which is a bit unknown, is Ile. Now, Ile is a proper island, as in the only way to get to it is by getting on a boat or by helicopter. The helicopter, I think it takes about 20 minutes to fly to L'Île, but it's obviously more expensive. Or you can take a boat from Fromentine and it takes 1 hour on the boat. Choppy waters sometimes, so if you're prone to seasick, make sure you take your medication beforehand. Ile is very protected. The coast is very rugged and wild and beautiful, and you've got little coves where you can go and swim. That's one of the things to bear in mind, is that because it's in the middle of the ocean, the water can be pretty cold, but that's part of the charm as well. You can easily cycle around the island very quickly, so it can be a day trip, but really if you want to enjoy the island life and get a sense of the true charm of Ile, you need to stay for a week. There are not that many hotels, so I don't have recommendations for that. I would suggest that you rent a house. Ile is also wonderful in the spring, and actually that's when I went with my family as a child in May, and there was a true charm of cycling all around the island, seeing the fields with flowers, stopping at the old castle, going for a little bit of a walk around there, and having of course some nice fish in restaurants or on the port. So absolutely delightful place to go to. Not many people know it. You should really try to discover it. I did a little bit of a lipstick to tell you about where you can find information about the best hotels and B&Bs for Noirmoutier and Ile, and actually have a blog post with several recommendations which you can find on the link below and with a little preview here. Now the third island is Ile de Ré. You may have heard of Ile de Ré already. It's more popular, it's more known, especially with Parisians. not yet completely discovered by British people, starting to. So, you could be one of the first amongst your friends. Ile de Ré is off La Rochelle, so it's a bit further south from Noirmoutier and Ile-Dieu, which are in Vendée, which is my native region. So to go to Ile de Ré, you fly to La Rochelle, and then from La Rochelle it's an easy 30-40 minutes drive. Now, my main tip to get to Ile de Ré is really to look at when you're going to cross the bridge. Because although it's an easy ride from the airport, it can be really, really busy and you can be caught in huge traffic jams, especially in the summer. So try to get there either very early in the morning, very late at night, or outside of the weekend. Ile de Ré is another one of those beautiful Atlantic islands with flat land, with waterland, with amazing beaches, the Atlantic beaches with soft sand and waves that you can jump in, and with those little villages with small houses, low houses with white walls, blue shutters, and rose trémières, which are a kind of like pink flowers that you can find in all the streets of Ile de Ré. There are several villages that you can stay at. I would recommend that you progress a little bit further into the island, not stay at the first one just after the bridge, but go a bit further and try to have a stay in La Flotte or Saint-Martin. Saint-Martin is the main village. It's more of a little town really, and it can be more expensive, but it has a lovely nightlife on the harbor where you can walk around, and you've got shops and you've got restaurants and you can stop for an ice cream, etc. So it's really lovely. The other villages are Le Bois Plage. It's really close to the nice family beaches, La Couarde, and then when you start going up, you've got Arcenré, which is a village in the center of the island, so a good base to explore either the north or the south. And then further up, it's Les Portes-en-Ré or Loire. Les Portes-en-Ré is a more posh village in the sense that you have a lot of houses owned by celebrities, for instance. And Loire is a little bit to the side, a bit undiscovered, a little bit of a gem, so you may want to explore that. The beauty of Ile de Ré is that you can do everything by bike. So once you've crossed the bridge, arrive to your house or your hotel, then make sure that you have bikes. And that will be my key tip. When you book your hotel or your rental house, ask the hotel or the landlord whether there will be bikes provided, because if not, you should really make sure that you book them in advance with rental shops. Once you have the bikes, you can go everywhere with them. Very good. They have lots of things for little children as well. You can have little trolleys at the back, you can have child seats, several options, bikes for children who can cycle, etc. So it's the best way to really go around the island, because otherwise there are not many roads, and again you could be caught in traffic jam, especially coming back from the beach at the end of the afternoon. Really, Ile de Ré is about living life like the French, same as Ile-Dieu and Noirmoutier. It's basing yourself somewhere, going to the market in the morning, buying some good food, some fresh fish, cooking that, going to the beach in the afternoon, cycling, etc. It's just really lovely. It's probably not the best island for nightlife for like older children, young people, but again, I haven't discovered that. It might be that there are some nightclubs that are quite fun. There are several luxury hotels in Ile de Ré. I have listed some in the blog post below. Le Toiras is the most luxurious one. It's a relais chateau. It's in Saint-Martin. But the one that I would really recommend is Le Sénéchal in Arcenré, because it has a lot of charm and I think it's got a bit more of a sense of design. They also have a little pool inside. But if you really want to enjoy life there, I would recommend that you rent a house. Do that really early, as in like a year before your intended date, because as I said, it gets very popular. And the best website for this is a website called Ile de Ré Location, and I will link to it below. So here you go. I hope that I helped you discover a new place in France, and that when travel reopens, you can really enjoy discovering these areas. Until the next video, au revoir!